Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Samara Curtiss, and I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't already subscribed, be sure to do that. Click the subscribe button, click the bell so you can stay in the loop of everything we have going on. So last week I did a get to know me video part 1, and this week we're going to do a part 2. So this topic is a little bit on the more serious note, and I've been wanting to share my story for a while, and I was just waiting for the right time, the right platform, and whenever I thought I was ready to share with everyone. A few people may know that are my close friends, but I've been seeing a lot more people that I know dealing with this situation, and I just wanted to let them know that they're not alone. So if you're trying to figure out what I'm talking about, stay tuned because I'm about to let you guys in a little bit deeper. So, like I said, last week we talked about the covering basically of my life from childhood up into now. And I didn't really touch on relationships that much when I was talking about my life. I covered my family, my friends, what I was into, college, but the relationship topic I kind of brushed over thinking no one would notice, but you guys noticed, and people were asking in my DMs like, so you didn't have any boyfriends growing up? Like you weren't in relationships? Were your parents like anti-boyfriend? No, not at all. It was just a topic that needed to be addressed separately, so here I go. I just wanted to talk about one relationship in general that still kind of affects me in my day-to-day life today and in relationships that I've had since then, and that relationship deals with domestic violence. So when I was in high school, I was dating a guy from a different school district, and I thought he was the bee's knees. Like, he was smart, he was funny, he was handsome, he had everything going for him, and I was just like, oh my god, like, this guy is amazing. He came from a great household, his parents were preachers, so I was like, what else could be wrong? Like, there's no flaw that I can see. I was wrong. In the beginning, everything seemed amazing. Like, we were going on dates, my family loved him, his family loved me, we were always out and about doing stuff together and having the greatest time. But a little further down the road is when certain things started to shift. I was becoming more interested in figuring out what college I wanted to go to. I was more interested in figuring out where I wanted to go to school and getting far away from Harrisburg because I had been there so long. So at the point, if you guys remember from watching my last video, I mentioned I got accepted to Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. So Morgan State University, distance from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, literally I can get back home in about 45 minutes, an hour tops, which I thought was no problem at all. So I'm in school doing great, doing extracurricular activities, I'm dating this great guy, and things just switched. He became a little bit more aggravated in everything I did. When I would try and stay after school for studying sessions, or when I had cheerleading practice and she wanted to hang out a little bit longer, he would show up in my school. He would wait in the parking lot. He would text me. When I would go to his house, he would automatically try and take my phone or figure out who I was talking to, why I wasn't responding back to him. And as a young adult, I was like 17, turning 18 soon, I was like, oh, this is the regular. Like, he's just concerned. He loves me so much. He wants to know everything I'm doing. He wants to just make sure I'm okay. And in my eyes, I was like, he's just concerned. He loves me a lot. And things just progressively got worse. It ended up being to the point where it was just too much to handle. And in my mind, I kept making the excuse of, he loves me. He just wants to make sure I'm okay. So it went from him just wanting to know where I am all the time, to him verbally abusing me, telling me I'm stupid, telling me my family does not love me, telling me my friends are fake. And then it turned to emotional abuse because of all of the verbal abuse. I started doubting myself. I started pulling away from my friends. I started pulling away from my family. And then it turned into physical abuse. He put his hands on me one time when I was in the car. I was at an after-school study session, and I was with my sister, some other cheerleaders, and he was texting me. And at the study session, you can't really have your phones up because you're tutoring and you're getting credits for it. So I'm like texting him, like, I'll call you as soon as I'm done. Like, I'm at school. I'm not doing no crazy stuff. Like, I'm literally at school. So of course he knew I went to school, and it's probably around like 6 o'clock in the evening when we're about to get let out. And I walk out to my car, and lo and behold, his car is sitting right next to my car. And I'm like, what are you doing? I told you I was at school. I had study session. This is my regular routine. And I had my sister with me, and we're about to get in my car and head home. He's like, let me talk to you real quick, making it seem like everything was sweet and good, like he was just in the area. He wasn't. So I get in his car, and all hell breaks loose. He ends up yelling at me, calling me a liar, calling me a hoe, calling me a cheater. And in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, where is all this coming from? Like, I've never given him any type of reason to want to assume that I was doing wrong or want to make him feel as though I was cheating or being unfaithful. And it got to the point where we're like yelling back and forth, and I can see my sister in my car parked next to it, and she's like about to bust through the car and come into his car. And he takes his hand and he mushes my face into the passenger side window because I'm in the passenger seat. And at that moment, I was terrified. When I tell you, I froze and I kind of blacked out because I didn't remember what happened after that. And in my head, I'm just like, he loves me. Like, he didn't mean to do that. He was upset. He had a hard day. Like, maybe he just wasn't in the mood and something I did ticked him off. And I was just hurrying up, trying to make excuses so I wouldn't retaliate back. So after he put his hands on me, he was like, okay, F it, get out of my car. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So I get in my car, and my eyes are swelling up with tears, and I'm trying to hold back my emotions because my little sister is a ride or die. Like, she would have found the closest thing and busted his window, called the cops. And I'm like, no, I can't have that happen because, like, I love this guy. Like, he didn't mean to do that. It never happened before physically. It will never happen again, I'm telling myself. And I remember there was this one time where it was after the car situation when he put his hands on me. It was Valentine's Day, and we were in an argument, and we were supposed to like go out for dinner that night, and I was like, I'm not feeling it, I'm gonna just stay home. He shows up at my house with his brother, and he does like the biggest gesture that I've ever seen. Like, he knew he was wrong, and we were arguing, like I said, that week, and he shows up to my house with so many balloons. What else was it? It was balloons. He had a bouquet of flowers. He had a beautiful necklace with a diamond on it, and he had a pair of like Air Force Ones or something like that for me, and a card like with this long message in it saying how like he loved me and how everything was amazing. And I was just like disgusted when he came to my house. I was just like, in my head, I didn't say this, like in my head I'm like, how dare you? Like, you try and make everything seem like it's okay and it's sweet and nothing is wrong with us, and you bring your brother into it. Like, I don't think his brother had any idea because his brother just looked so happy that his little brother was doing something for a girl that he liked, and took this time and effort to like want to go and get the flowers and the balloons and the shoes and everything that he did. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? But on the outside, I'm just like, this was the sweetest thing ever. Like, he did, like, I know he wants to be with me. Like, I know, like, this is the end. Like, he would never argue with me again. And when I go to school for college, like, we'll just be great together. And it was, that moment just really, like, kind of made things click. I was like, he is a psycho, like legit psycho. Like, you just called me out of my name. You basically try to like break me down even more. And then you show up to my parents' home, because at the time, like, they didn't know what was going on. Like, you show up to my parents' home trying to make this grand gesture, and they're like, oh my God, Samara, he's the greatest. Like, he loves you so much. And I'm just like, yeah, he loves me. Like, he loves me. And I'm like trying to fake the funk and put a smile on. And I remember I went into my room and I smashed the flowers on my dresser. I popped the balloons, and I put the card like in my dresser so I wouldn't have to read it. And I actually found the card like a year or two later when I was back home from school, and I like read it, and I was just like, this man is crazy. Like, the things that he said in the car were like the most sweet and loving and careful and kind words. I'm just like, he has issues. Like, and I need to like figure out how I got in this situation. I need to figure out like a way out. And I knew that like going to school would like help that situation, like break us off. And I was like, I need to go. I need to get out of the situation, because if he is that easily able to like be, I don't want to call him a monster. If he was that easily angered and able to like say such mean things and get to the point where it almost got physical again, to like a couple days later like doing such a grand Valentine's Day gesture, I was like, this is too much. Like I cannot handle this. My anxiety was just on the verge of like breakdown, to like shutting down, like wanting to cross to a ball and just like die. Like it was just crazy. So the next day rolls around and we're talking, everything's good, and it's about to be prom time. And I know at that time I had gone to junior prom with one of my friends, and he was on his way to senior prom, I think the week after. So when he found out I was going to prom with someone he did not know, he basically just stopped talking to me for a while. He knew what day prom was. He knew we were all getting ready at my house. He knew we were taking pictures at my house from like just previous conversations before the whole physical altercation happened. So he pulls up to my house with a smile on, making it seem like he's there to support me. He wants to see me get ready for prom. And the whole time he's basically there to like put fear in my heart. Like, don't do no dumb shit. Don't be out here trying to go out after prom, because I'm going to be there. I'm going to be wherever you are after prom. Like, I know where prom is. And I'm trying to enjoy this day. Like, it's my first time going to prom with my friend. And mind you, me and my friend, there was no, like, nothing going on, nothing sexually. It was strictly, we grew up together. He lived around the block from me. He wanted me to go prom with him. Narrow as pack, like nothing out of the ordinary, nothing sneaky was going on. And I'm just trying to convince myself, like, okay, this is a beautiful day. I got asked to prom. I look amazing. My date looks amazing. We're going to have a great time. All my friends are there. And I just can't stop thinking like this guy knows where I'm about to be. And I can't even enjoy myself. So after prom happens, he goes to his prom the following week. I, of course, go there and support him, to go see him take pictures. And I think he went to prom like by himself or with one of his guy friends, like in a group. And I went back home that night, and I was just trying to figure out what I did to make him so upset these past like couple months. And I began to self-harm myself. I would cut my legs. I would cut around my thigh areas, because I was a cheerleader, so our skirts more so were able to cover majority of our thigh, and we had long turtlenecks. But I knew like that was the one place where I can make a mark to kind of release the anger and the stress and everything I was going through that no one would be able to see. And it got to the point where my friends could tell that I was pulling away. My family could tell I was pulling away. And I just kept making excuses after excuses for this person. And he didn't really realize like what he was doing. Like, I know he knew he was like harming me, and he was being super, super like wrong, but he could never admit it. So the time comes where I'm applying for schools, and I'm like, I'm going to Baltimore to go to school. And hell breaks loose again. Like, you're stupid. You'll never get accepted. Like, why do you think you can leave Harrisburg? Why do you think you're smart enough to go to school? And the whole time I'm like, he's just gonna miss me. Like, he's just going to like go through a little withdrawal because I'm going away. Like, I think he was going to school somewhere local. And I was just constantly still making excuses. And still at the time, I was trying to like get on the path of making sure I was okay for school and taking care of myself while still dealing with all of the drama that was coming into my life. Mind you, before this, I had like one other serious relationship that was like perfect. Like, he was amazing. Like, everything was sweet. So I never realized or knew much about domestic violence. That may sound like shaded in my mind, or like, oh, you don't know what's going on to other people. Like, in my little bubble, I had never experienced that. I never knew anyone around me that openly told me about domestic violence and physical violence. So I was just constantly making excuses for him. And eventually we broke up, and he got into like 2 other relationships after that. Mind you, like, I would get on Facebook, because this is like the Facebook era. I would get on Facebook and MySpace era. I would get on the social media platforms, and I would see like him in this happy relationship. I'm like, was I the only one he was doing this to? Like, did what I do make him so upset that it corrected his ways? Like, or is this girl dealing with the same thing? Like, is she being physically abused, emotionally abused? Is she mentally being abused? Like, I'm trying to put pieces of the puzzle together, because on the outside they're happy. When I would see them at like football games or around town, I'm like, they look so happy. But at the same time, I'm like, I look the same way. Like, I covered so much, and I would pretend that nothing was going on, and I would just put a smile on. I would fake the funk, basically, because I didn't want people asking what was wrong, or why I wasn't coming outside. So the time comes, I go to college, and he had reached out a few times, like, hey, I see you're in town for the holidays. Do you want to hang out? I never responded. Fast forward until maybe, so I left for college in 2010. Fast forward to probably 2013. I went home for like a spring break type situation, and he reached out to me. And by this time, I think he had a kid by now. I think he had a kid. And he was like, hey, I see you're in town. Do you want to meet my son? And I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess. In my head, I'm like, do I really want to see this guy? Do I want to meet his son? Do I want to see like how great his life is after everything we've been through? And something hit. Like, I'm like, I wonder if his parents ever knew everything that was going on. Like, his parents were preachers. He attended church faithfully. It's like, I went to the church. They knew me. Like, everything was just so perfect. I could not wrap my head around this situation even years later. I'm like, who knew about this, who just did not say anything? So I built up the courage, and I decided to go see him. Mind you, I had been in relationships after our situation that were perfect, never had any issues. But when I would be in these relationships, I would still have like a little person like on my shoulder, in my head, like, be careful, like, don't say this, don't say that, don't make that person mad, because this could happen. And I was referring back to the relationship with the guy who was being very abusive. So I go to his house, and I'm like, hey, I'm sitting on one couch, he's on the other. And he's like, you want to meet my son? I'm like, okay, sure. Like, I've seen pictures of his son. And I'm like, so are you happy? Like, are you in a good place? And I think at that time, him and like the mother of his child, like, were not together. Like, they were co-parenting or whatever. And out of nowhere, he was like, I just want to say I'm sorry. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Because I didn't bring the topic up. I wasn't planning on talking about the topic, because I had just been so far gone from it. I literally kind of prayed to God, asked him just take those thoughts and those memories away, so I don't have to think about them anymore, so it won't ruin my friendships, relationships after that situation. And like I said, he was like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, for what? He's like, for everything I did to you in the past. I realized I was wrong. I realized I shouldn't have done the things I did. I shouldn't have called you out of your name. And he's like, I had never done it in any relationships after you. And my one question was, why was I the one that had to go through that, when all I ever did was the most for you? Like, I always put you first, and I always wanted to make you happy. And if you guys can remember my last video, I mentioned how my weakness is that I am a big lover, and I have a big heart. And I realized that I was putting so much into this guy that when he said sorry, like, I was still trying to make excuses. Like, no, I was the one who was doing stuff wrong. I wasn't answering your phone calls. I wasn't coming to see you enough. And I kept trying to make excuses in my mind as to like why he was sorry. So he was like, no, I realized I was wrong. I realized that I should have never put my hands on you. I should have never called you out of your name. Like, you never did anything wrong to deserve that. And I was able to be like, okay, I accept your apology, and I just wish that you never do anything to anyone else you're in a relationship with ever again. So we're sitting there talking, and I'm just telling him like all the things I went through, and all the harm that came from him kind of breaking me down. And I remember I was on the internet one day, like, looking up just random stuff, and I decided to type in like domestic violence and verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, and all of these key things were popping up, like gaslighting. Basically, gaslighting is when the person who you're dealing with, okay, so it's two people, and they're basically making you kind of like rethink your thoughts. Like, if I tell you that, oh, like, nothing's wrong, I didn't do anything, they'll be like, well, are you sure? Like, because the other day you said such and such, or you did that and that, or you did this and that. And it was like just little things that I was reading on the internet, and I'm like, how dumb was I? Like, that I had such a loving family that I decided not to let know what's going on. I had an amazing group of girlfriends that I feel like they knew what was going on, but they didn't really speak on it because they weren't 100% sure, and they didn't want to make speculations. And I was like, I had such an amazing support system that I could have went to kind of like end it, that I didn't. And even to this day, like, I still ask myself, like, what the hell were you thinking? Like, you could have easily walked away. You could have easily been like, F that. But at the same time, it's so easier said than done. Like, I promise you. And I've come across people that I know that are close to me that have dealt with that situation, and we talk about it. And when I ever get ready to say, just leave, I always remember, don't say that, because it's not that easy to just leave situations. And I'm blessed to say that I'm still here, and it never got taken to the point where I was hospitalized or left for dead. But verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, it all falls under the same umbrella to me. Whenever you try and bring someone down or make them seem any less of what they are, to try and manipulate own crazy ways into like secluding them off from anyone, that all is abuse to me. So like, I recently have been like talking to people who have been in the same situation, and I just realized that like a lot of people, both men and women, are dealing with this. And there's so many ways of handling it, but everyone's situation is different. Someone's situation could be on a like 1 to 10 scale, a 10 who feels like they can leave and they will leave and they'll be perfectly fine. Someone's level could be on a 1 and they're scared for their life to leave because they've let go of everything and they just don't know how to do it. But honestly, like, everyone has to do everything at their own time and make sure that they're doing it the safe way. Like, thank God that I'm like still here, and I had some type of awakening to be able to be like, okay, like, this is wrong, I had to like break this off. And my way of breaking it off was going to college. Like, that was my escape. Even though I already like wanted to go to an HBCU, I wanted to go to college, like, I feel like God allowed me to get accepted into Morgan State because of that reason. I feel like he was like, you're accepted into this school, get away, don't look back, keep doing what you have to do, and when you're ready, when you're on your time, you can come back and address it and make sure everything's okay. And like, even still, like, I still look at things on the internet and try and make sure that I'm not allowing myself to sink into that place of feeling unworthy or letting myself feel as though I'm not good enough for someone. Because when I look at myself, I'm like, Samara, you are smart, you are loved, which is always important, and you are a child of God. And I don't like to bring religion into anything, but I am Christian, so I know I prayed so much to be able to have like a way out, that I know that being accepted into Morgan State and being able to come to Maryland was able to separate me from that situation. And ever since then, all of my relationships since then have literally been great. Like, I have been able to put what I've personally learned and experience into my new relationships that I've been in, so that I know how to handle myself, and I know the signs. Not saying that I know all of the signs, but there are little things that I can pinpoint in relationships that I'm like, okay, no, like the way he's acting, what he's saying, when he's mad or upset, like, those are trademarks of abuse. And whatever type of relationship you're in, whether you're male or female, like, just understand that like you're loved by someone out there. Like, someone cares for you enough to like want to help you, and there's different outlets and there's different resources that you can use to like be able to express yourself and find help. And like, I just wanted to like share that part of my life a little bit, because like I said, I know a lot of people that are dealing with that right now. And when I talk to people, it's always like, well, he said he won't do it again, or she said she won't do that again. Like, it's it's hard to help a person when you don't know like where to start. Like you can easily say for person A, like, okay, we're going to help you move back home and that'll separate you. And that may work for person A, but person B, we may say the same thing, like, okay, let's help homegirl out. Let's get her out of this house. Let's move her away. And her partner will follow her, or his partner, whatever the relationship situation may be. Like, it's always difficult. But I just wanted to share that, and I want to let you know that there's someone out there for everyone. Like, I promise that I've felt like I've been able to help so many people that I've shared the situation with that I did not know was going through the same thing. And it may be on a higher level or a lower level, but it's still a connection that we have. And just knowing that other people my age and younger have made it out is a great thing to keep in mind. And it's sad that people that are older than me and younger than me have not made it out because of a domestic violence situation. That was my story. That was my brief little story, because I know a few people had asked, like, relationship wise, like, did you date and stuff like that. Like, yes, I dated. I had great relationships. I had one bad one, and ever since then I've been on a great path. But there's always someone out there who loves you. So if anyone out there is dealing with that situation, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for your strength. I'm praying for your safety. I'm praying that you have an abundance of love that falls upon you, that gives you the strength to make the moves that you feel are right for you. If anyone you know, or if you are dealing with a domestic violence situation and you need help, the domestic violence hotline number is 1-800-799-7233. I promise you they've helped me, and they will be able to help you. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope everyone is loved and has a great day. Bye, everyone.